Date. Don't wait. That's a nice
Don't
book.
wait. I love that. John, I want to ask you one question about this eye contact thing that you said. Is that because don't make the eye contact or look directly at him? Is that because we're giving him the death stare if we're looking at them, that we're just, glaring at them? Why do we not want to look at them when we're saying what we're saying?
Well, a simple way of looking at it is the death stare.
Yeah.
But even if it's not so much the death stare, which is death, his testosterone shoots down. Whatever you're trying to get him to remember or hear will not be heard, will not be effective, will only have the opposite effect. The Greeks talked about the death stare in terms of Medusa. Okay, so many lessons in that story. But she has snakes, which are complaints. Cut off one, and this is for men to learn, cut off one complaint, you'll get 3 complaints, okay? 3 snakes come back. See, and you can't kill her, you can't cut off her head, but basically what she will do is she'll look at you and you'll turn to stone. That was the whole thing. A woman's stare will turn a man to stone. Literally, he stops having any heartfelt emotions, just turn him off completely. And for the men in that story, what you learn in that metaphor is you've got to cut off her head. Okay, you got to get her out of her head, which is justifying her emotions and blaming you. How do you do that? You got to get her out of her head back into her heart. How do you get her in the heart to make the complaints go away? You have to cut off the head. Don't argue with her, but approach her and look at her death stare, but through your shield. That's how he did it. The shield is to not look at her directly from your point of view, but to look at her through the reflection, which means to hear what she's saying from another point of view. Not your point of view, but another point of view. Then you can get her out of her head. And that's by understanding where she's coming from. What a great, metaphor this whole Medusa thing is. But for the women to know it's your stare. Now, there's a theory I have, I call it the alphabet theory, which is, let's say your partner does something to annoy you. The first time it's letter A. He does it again, it's letter B, letter C, letter D, it goes all the way to X, Y, Z. Now, as it goes through those stages, as this example, the first stage is you feel this annoyance and resistance. You don't like it, but nothing changes. Then you'll go into a resentment. Usually you'll try to give more than your partner's giving to you to try to make things better. And you'll resent that nothing's changing. So now you're in resentment. These are the 4 R's. And then after you have this resentment build up, at a while, you just give up and you just start, you're not even aware of this, but now you're in a place of rejection. Your mind's always looking at what's wrong with them, just looking. And he says, let's go do this. Oh, I'm not in the mood to do that. I want to do that. It's this oppositional thinking that starts happening in couples. They just can't agree on anything. Everything seems like a big burden, and I have to sacrifice if I was to give you what you want. That's all a fabrication of the brain with so many repressed emotions and feelings due to so much repressed annoyance, not changing things around, which either changing your expectations, communicating about it, trying to work it out. And then after the 3rd R is rejection, then you still stay in that relationship, you go to repression, and that's comfort. You push down all your emotions, but you have no sex drive. You have no attraction for each other, but you're like business partners or family members, but you're not really lovers. And
right.
that's the comfort zone that people get to. And most people today don't want to live in that place because it's called looking at 60 years old like you're an old person. You see people who've been repressing everything inside because they have no emotional intelligence. They age very quickly. They don't have and that's one example. Anyway, those are those 4 R's that we want to avoid going through, which is learning how to communicate about the little things. So the little things come up, be light about it. It's not a big deal when you turn out, I want to not give big, huge lectures because I want to answer these questions, but here's a real quickie on asking for help rather than complaining. It'd be a complaint whether you forgot to turn out the light. A request would be, oh, honey, I was just walking through the living room, the light was out. I know so many times you do turn it out, but sometimes you still forget. It'd be really nice if you try to remember, thanks, and then go out of the room. Don't expect a response. It's her whole premise of this question. I'm looking for an acknowledgement, and then I feel hurt by that rather than purposely ignoring it, but that you're not getting a response. But there's so many better things I just said other than just ignore it. Although that's one technique. Don't expect it, because that's that look. Aren't you going to give me a response? Well, if you do have that feeling, set it up. It's not a big deal. You'll get more of a response. Or it's not a big deal. And when I say these little things, all you have to do is just glance my way and say, I hear you. And that's enough. I just want to know I'm heard. I don't need you to say you're sorry. It's nice whenever you are, but I know with little things, it's hard to say you're sorry because it's not a big deal. You're a guy, but just say you hear me. Then now you have a communication technique, driving in the car. Bonnie used to tell me to slow down. That would be very annoying to me. Oh, that's another thing in the annoyance section. Women giving driving instructions can really irritate guys. Oh, and slow down, go fast, turn here. Why did you do that? You shouldn't have gone there. I can't believe you got any kind of driving instruction. So ours was usually I would go too fast. And she asked me, how can I communicate to you that I'm uncomfortable while you're driving? I know it's very annoying to you. That's a good technique, conversation about how can I communicate what I need. And I thought, it took me a long time. I said, it's really hard sometimes to communicate to me what you need. And I could be a little overly sensitive here. And then I came up with the answer. I said, so don't say anything. If you want me to slow down, just grab the handle. You grab the handle.
Grab the handle. Yeah, the signal.
Yeah, it's just a signal. Sometimes nonverbal communication is really good. I think for couples to have a really good communication thing, particularly annoying thing, is women talking too much about their feelings. And so how can a man have her stop because he can't hear anymore? As if it's not a bad thing. You can make little signals, whatever it is. Smile and put your hands in the air. That's another one, which means I'm going to go think about what you said. But I can't, even if I say something, the tone of voice conveys, when a woman says something, she thinks she's saying it perfectly. Well, it worked when it was ABC. But when you've gone through all the 4 R's and now it's XYZ, or even to resentment, XYZ, eye contact allows a person to hear XYZ, even if you're saying ABC. Does that make sense? I sort of brought that back in. You can't hide your deepest resentments with eye contact. You can hide them, which is effective to do many times. Fake it till you make it sometimes. Okay, that's okay. Not all the time, but at crucial times, you don't need to just dump it all out there, but behave like you would in the office. In the workplace, we all have to behave. You can't just throw your feelings around. And sometimes in your marriage, you have to. That's okay. Just not all the time.